this trip has been hard because I haven't done anything for 8 years.
Yeah.
And so to just step off the couch, and I'm not an avid cyclist. I just thought it would be a cool platform that would raise awareness and a little bit of funds for some research.
Well, I appreciate
So
you
I'm
doing
so
it.
far out of my comfort zone, but I got to a point where I'm just like, I'm managing well enough, and I'm gonna suffer on the road or I'm gonna suffer on my bed. And if I could spend
Yep.
1 month and get a little bit of a buzz just to a couple hundred people around the world that might meet someone like us, and they're going to be
Yes.
like, oh, you have Meniere's. I know a little bit about that because I followed this guy on his bike ride, and so I know. And every day we post a symptoms video, and I'm just trying to educate people so that they're so that they can be sympathetic if someone does say, well, you look fine. Well, now they won't say that because they're like, okay, I know you look fine,
Yeah.
but I know that there's 15 symptoms that are probably kicking your butt pretty good right now, and I just don't get to see that.
That's right.
So I really appreciate this
Well,
interview.
thank you for biking. I
Yeah.
appreciate you doing it because it's like maybe people will now do research.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a couple people doing it. It's just not enough,
Yeah.
and I get it. It's like there's not enough of us that have it.
Right.
And we're not going to die. So they're like, whatever. We're on the bottom of the
The feed chain.
the give a crap pile for diseases. But I really, really appreciate you doing this interview because I did one with a guy in Denver before I left, and he was the first person I had ever met. And so now you're the second person I've met, and I'm her first person that she's ever met in person. And I just really appreciate your time. Can I give you a hug?
You sure can.
You're
As we
special.
both fall over.
Yeah, we're like, boom!
It's like, oh, there they go.
Drop attack into the GoPro. All
Thank
right.
you very much for doing this.
Yes, thank
I
you
really
so
appreciate
much.
it.
You
And
know,
it was
Did your doctors ever tell you why you came down with
they
this?
have no idea.
No, they have no idea. Could
They
be
have no idea.
stress is a trigger, a blow to the ear. Or that's,
Injury to the head, a whiplash, an autoimmune deficiency, a bone chip that's floating around your
Yeah.
ear. It could be a brain tumor. I mean, there's millions of things. So they go through and they basically diagnose you by deleting everything that it could be.
Right.
So she probably had an MRI, I'm
yep,
sure.
no ear tumors.
Yep, and they looked for a bone chip that could be floating around that could give you vertigo. She probably had tons of blood work done,
Yep.
and to make sure it's not an autoimmune disorder. And then after that, then you get to go into all the balance tests that are torture chambers.
Because
torture
because they're awful for a person who has it.
They basically try to make you as
Have
sick as they
vertigo.
can, so that they do readings to find out how bad your balance is and stuff, and to make sure it's not a brain thing. They want to make sure it's definitely just the ear thing.
Yeah.
It's a brain thing because your brain is reacting to your ear.
Sure.
But other people have brain issues that
Okay.
affect it. So they rule out the brain issues, and they do that by torturing you. And these I had a chair that I had to sit in, and it spun around 250 times a minute. And then it was in a black round tube, and I had two joysticks, and
Yes.
these LED lights came on, and you had to match them up and match them up, and then they could tell by that whether it's my brain or whether it's just my ear. But it's torture, and they make you, and then they put the goggles on, and they spray
Yeah.
cold and hot water and air in your
Yeah.
ears, and it makes you completely seasick.
Yeah, it does.
And they do it on purpose because then they can tell by those results
That they know it's Meniere's.
that they know it's Meniere's. It's like, so that's how we get diagnosed. So what causes it? Nobody knows.
Okay.
People
And they-
swear
yeah.
because it happened to them. Oh, well, I had whiplash when I was 12, so that's what that's probably what. But not everybody that gets whiplash has Meniere's. Not everybody that bangs their head has Meniere's. Not everybody with autoimmune deficiencies has Meniere's. So everybody thinks they have answers, but
They don't.
it's a mystery.
Yeah.
And they only found out because somebody left their body to science. The cadaver was Meniere's was his last name.
First name?
Prosper.
There you go, Prosper.
And they did that and found they could only find it after a person had died, and they found out what was wrong with the ear canal. Fluid is not balanced in your ear canal, but that's the only reason they even found out. Otherwise, they wouldn't even know what it was the problem.
And probably a lot of people had. I mean, I
Yeah.
think Van Gogh had it
Yeah.
from his diaries. Now they
Yeah.
look back and they diagnosed him with epilepsy, and they put him in an insane asylum. But
Yeah.
reading his
Well-
letters to his family and his girlfriends and his journals,
Yep.
they think he's describing Meniere's disease more than epilepsy or anything else,
Yes.
because he didn't know what was wrong with him, and he would describe it in a way that now, with all the knowledge we have, they can look back and say, you know what, we think, and that's probably why he cut his ear off, because
Yeah.
Yeah,
I felt
exactly.
like it was
Yeah, it would
Yeah.
be.
I
so
could-
it makes a lot of sense. I mean,
Sure
there's
does.
no way it can be proven But a lot of scientists and a lot of researchers are leaning more towards the Van Gogh having Meniere's theory, but it'll never be proven 100%.
And like some people have hardly any, I mean, their symptoms are a lot less, and other people have severe, and some people it only lasts for a few years, other people's it lasts for the rest. And I always was under the impression maybe when you get older, but my doctor said, no, that doesn't make it, ease it up.
No, my doctor said I'll do this the rest of my life. He's like,
he goes, you might not have it as often, but you will always have it. It will never, ever go away.
good days, bad days.
That's right. Normal, my new normal.
That's
Yeah.
our new normal.
That's
So
what I
how
always
old
call
are
it.
you, Steve?
I am 53 years old.
53.
And I got diagnosed at 45, which is about average. About
Okay.
45 years
How old
old.
were you when you were diagnosed?
In 2010?
29.
Oh yeah, I wish. 65 now. I'm 66. Gonna be 66. So
Late
Yeah.
50s.
46.
yeah.
46.
But there's no, and this is a good interview because it's not gender either.
No,
It's not like
no.
80% men and 20% women
No.
or the opposite. It's pretty much 50-50
Yeah.
right down the board from what I've studied.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter. Guys, girls, it's just a matter of,
Just the luck of the draw.
we got the
Just
luck
the
of
luck
the
of the
draw,
draw.
so we're special.
We are special. I keep
Yeah.
telling people that they just don't believe
That's
it. If I
right.
could just make some money off of it, it'd be okay.
So when we get to heaven, instead of listening to the holy angels sing for 1,000 years, me and you are going to go into a quiet room and listen to silence for
That's
100
right,
years and
that's
just
right.
keep our mouths shut and
That's
just
right.
be in silence
Be
because we
silent.
haven't heard silence
Forever.
forever. It feels like I've
As
never.
long as it's not ringing, I don't care what it sounds like.
Yeah, I want to experience silence.
I would
before
like to hear silence.
I mean, I'm all about you know.
It's really sad when I go try to walk because that's about the only exercise I can do because you can't bend
Yeah,
over
I
and
walk
stand.
my dog twice a day, and that's
because
my exercise.
that's my exercise because I can't do those other exercises.
Yeah.
So I walk and it's like, oh, I said, oh God, thank you so much. The crickets are chirping and the birds are singing. I don't hear my ringing today.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
oh my gosh, it takes that.
Yeah, like I have to listen to a book, listen to a baseball game. I have to listen to like quiet music or white fuzz, or
Something.
I have to have something. I can't just. I'll get up at 2 a.m. and I'll jump back in bed, and it's just like, and
Yeah.
I'm like, well, not sleeping tonight. So I
That's
have to
right.
go out in the front room so my wife can sleep because she has to go to work, and I lay on the couch in the front room, and I watch TV from 2 a.m. till 6 or 7 a.m.
See, and I can only watch certain TV shows.
Golden Girls.
Well, that's one of them.
I talked to
35th
somebody.
anniversary is this week.
It is.
Yeah, somebody
But-
said
but
that.
it-
Somebody
but
mentioned that earlier.
All the new ones have all that lights and things.
Oh yeah,
moving.
yeah. Just
So then I
the
can't-
sensory overload.
So I have to have, and like the movies we watch because
Yeah.
that was one thing I could do, but it has to be moving. It's like there's talking, but there's not motion.
Strobes.
And why does every movie when you start it,
That-
it's not- they have to be moving when they first start? It's like, really? Can you just come into a
they
scene?
pan all the way around
Yes.
the person in a conversation. I'm just like, whoa.
It's like we don't need this.
See, my favorite sitcom is Big Bang Theory.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I cannot watch the intro because
No,
it's just like,
you can't.
you know, all those
Yeah, you
lights
can't.
and noise. And so as soon as the first note comes, I have to turn my head.
And then you go back.
And then once it's done, I can start watching again because I love that show, but I just can't watch the intro.
Well, if
it
it means
throws-
anything to you guys, I don't watch that intro either, and I'm perfectly fine.
well, there goes that theory.
I mean, it's artistic
It
and it's
throws
cool.
me into a fit.
It's artistic.
Well,
and it's
I have
cool.
a young man at church. He's I think 22. He now tells me what movies I should go to. It is so funny. It used to be every Sunday before COVID he'd come. Now you can't watch this one, Sue.
But
This
you
would
can-
not be for.
yeah,
But
yeah.
there's one time in this. I'll tell you what it is. And
Yeah.
turn your head. But it's just like that to me is a gift because he actually cares about
That's right.
what
Like you-
happens
yes,
to me.
and that's
And
important.
most people
That's
don't
important.
care.
Yeah.
You need to watch those ones from the 50s where there's only one camera
Yes,
angle. That's
I know.
all they had.
That's why I said
So
we got to
there
go
you
back to those old movies
Probably
again,
not
honey. But
VertiGO.
it's like, and then one of them was
Stay away
like,
from that movie.
I took my
VertiGO
grandkids
is-
to Finding Dory.
Oh, yeah.
I thought this is going to be the longest. I saw literally. I am like this, and people are like, and it's like, Brooks go, "Are you okay?" And I said, "It's all water. I forgot it was going to be all water. It's all moving." I said, "I got to be able to get out of here.
Yeah.
I'm not having an attack here."
I literally have probably been to the movie theater 4 times in 8 years. And
Yeah,
it's only if it's something I really,
Yeah,
really,
and it's going to be
really.
just talking.
Yeah, well, I'll
We
go
ran
see.
a lot of moving and we stop a lot.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time,
Well,
and
thank you.
I'm hoping that this interview, I hope a lot of people see it because I think there's thousands of people around the world that will
suffer.
get something from what you're
Yes.
suffering, and we just want to tell our stories. Everybody has a story, and your story is precious, and it's precious to me. It's precious to the people out there, and
Especially
so.
with those that have it. I
Yeah.
Especially, and
Yeah.
you know, I think it's just as precious to those that don't because
Yeah.
they can show this to family members and say, "See, I'm not lying." You know, you think I'm lazy, or you think I'm, you know, grumpy, or, you know, all the symptoms that come from this. And I'm kind of hoping that the awareness even goes further than just the Meniere's people, so that you know, family members can be more sympathetic, because a lot of us do have great family support,
do.
but you know, being on the groups, there's people on there that are just like,
Don't
my
have
husband
anybody.
doesn't believe me.
They have
My
nobody.
husband does not believe I'm sick, and I can't get out of bed, and he thinks I'm just being lazy, and it breaks my heart to read those.
My
Like, it
mom
breaks
could
my
tell
heart.
me, because we moved away from my mom, and I called her every day, and she could tell by my voice.
Oh yeah,
She could tell by my voice, and then she'd call my daughter and said, "Your mom's having a bad day. You need to check in on her."
My wife can look at me 2 seconds out of bed and just know what my
it's
day's
like,
going to be
it's
like.
like just by that she could tell, because she was in that in tune. And then, you know, I couldn't just go see her for quite a while, and it's like that was the worst thing in all. It's like, and then when I did drive to her, okay, I can drive there, but can I make it back home, because it was a 2.5 hour drive?
Yeah.
Will I be able to come home? Or when I go see my grandkids in Peoria, it's like, well, sometimes I take somebody with me.
Yeah, just to make sure you get
Otherwise,
home.
I stay all night there,
Then
because
that anxiety grows, and your stress grows, and
Yeah.
it snowballs, and next
then
thing
you
you
just
know,
start
you're
thinking
just
all this stuff, and it's you got to push that stuff aside, but it's hard when
Yeah.
it's you never know. I mean, like I said, if I could wake up and you tell me I'm having one today, I would not do anything. I would stay home.
absolutely.
But the doctor told me you cannot become a prisoner in your home either.
Mm-hmm.
Like what you're doing, he would applaud you, because he goes, you cannot live your life like you're going to have one today. You've got to live your life.
The first few years were really scary, and it was hard to leave
Yes,
the house. But
me
now
too.
I had a little vertigo attack today, and I'm just like, you know, I know people that are watching my trip are going to be like, well, you're riding your bike too much, or maybe you should just call your trip off. And it's like, you know what?
Doesn't matter.
The vertigo attack picks me. I don't
Yeah.
pick it by
No.
what I do.
Nope.
And it picked me today. But if I wasn't having that attack in this parking lot here,
You'd have it at home.
I'd be on my couch at home.
Yeah.
So why not be out here trying to make a difference? And I'm used to it enough to where the vertigo attacks don't scare me as much. I just know I just have to ride them out.
Yeah.
And I think that anxiety, that viewing it that way, drops my anxiety, and then my attacks don't last quite as long.
Yeah.
Because I would get petrified
Yes.
in the middle of a vertigo attack, and I
Yeah.
think I perpetuated it.
And you made it last longer.
I made it last longer for my anxiety and my stress, and you know, how long is this going to last?
Yeah,
And
I think that was it.
thought,
My question was always,
how long is this going
like
to go on?
my husband would go, you don't even want to know how long it's been. You don't even want to know how long you've been here.
No, I've spent entire 12 hours on my
Yeah.
bathroom floor,
Yeah.
with my head on a pillow next to the toilet, and
Yeah.
depending on what end had to get hit
Yeah. Well, and sometimes I had a bucket both ends and couldn't even
Yep.
get my head lifted up. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
how do you throw up sideways? But I learned how.
Yeah, you figure that stuff out real quick after your wife has to clean it
Yeah.
up. You know, so you're just like, okay. Well, I thank you. I appreciate it. And yeah, I wish you the best of luck.
I wish you the best.
more good days than bad.
That's right.
And I'll think about you. And this is Steve on the VertiGO, and we're out.
So where are you?